Well, each week, a group of insiders joins me to offer a perspective on some of the week's top stories. This week, sounding off on the Central Indiana Corporate Partnership, celebrating a major milestone, its 20th anniversary. It is a holding company of sorts for several statewide initiatives, including AgriNovus Indiana, Ascend Indiana, BioCrossroads, Conexus Indiana, Energy Systems Network, and TechPoint. With more now on the impact of CICP and what's next, I'm pleased to welcome a special panel, including United Animal Health Board Vice Chair Ellen Swisher-Crabb, also MS Communications Chairman and CEO and Founder Jeff Smulyan, and CIC President and CEO David Johnson. And welcome one and all to this special edition of the Insiders. David, I'll start with you. We're going to go back to the early days, but fast forward to today, the Central Indiana Corporate Partnership, a holding company of sorts for some really important initiatives.
It is, and it is also driving its own. So 16 Tech is an example of all those initiatives coming together with the rest of our economy to produce an innovation district near downtown of Indianapolis.
And I think probably representative of collaboration is a big, I know a big focus in the 16 Tech project, this innovation district, potentially transformational for the region is a good example.
Right, and you know the name of the organization, it's interesting. It is certainly the corporate partnership, and the vast majority of our members are corporate CEOs and board chairs, but we also have university leaders and philanthropic foundation leaders, and those are important elements in this economy too.
Yeah, Jeff, turning the clock back to the early days, the formation right after the NCAA, I think relocated here in 1999. You were involved in one of the very first chairs. Talk about those early days and why and how this came about.
I think the idea, and the impetus, I think, was Lilly Endowment and Eli Lilly, and I think the idea was we need to get the CEOs together. They're a disparate group. They don't know each other. And if there's going to be a long-term vision for this region, it's going to have to come from corporate leadership. It's a longer-term vision than you might get from political leaders. And I think the idea was, let's think about the future of this region. And I couldn't be prouder of what David and everyone has done.
Well, think back to those early days, though. What did you think as it was forming? Was it were there some fits and starts and people wondering, what are we doing?
Well, I think everybody understood the need. Everybody said, look, we have to focus on the future of this region. And I think that's always been the secret to Indiana and Indianapolis, is that people always come together, and there was a collaboration, and I think everybody checked their ego at the door and said, how do we make this place better? And they brought in Patel to do a study, and again, the results, frankly, are beyond my wildest expectations for 20 years.
Yeah, and you mentioned, I think, a good point is what makes Indianapolis and Indiana great is that partnership and collaboration. Ellen, a company, a great ag bioscience company, headquartered in Sheridan, United Animal Health. In your view, the importance of CICP, why is it important to a company like yours, and what really do you think the impact is of CICP?
One of the great benefits is that it really increases the visibility of agriculture within the state of Indiana, but also within the Midwest itself, and we really appreciate that, as well as the technology that many of the leaders in agriculture are doing today. I have been so impressed with the leaders that have been within CICP. It is a powerhouse of intellect and of incredible research. I am so glad that it was started 20 years ago, because it is really working with the leaders and also taking the advice of very, very well-founded research to contribute to the economy of Central Indiana.
And in present day issues, current day issues like talent and talent development,
yes, with the
there's some real impact there.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. David, so many of these initiatives, BioCrossroads was one of the first, but one that we were talking off camera, kind of missed actually, was the ag biosciences, which now with AgriNovus catching up in a big way and doing a lot of great things.
Yeah, I mean, all we were talking about this earlier, all of our initiatives have started by data and by a study and trying to figure out what our economy really consisted of, and then seeing if we could get some stakeholders together and if they would care about it enough to make something happen. We were real good on the biosciences and on information technology and, of course, advanced manufacturing and logistics, and later even clean technology and new forms of energy. But somehow, with all that work, we missed the ag bioscience sector.
But the momentum, and I remember being at the announcement, and I could tell that day there was support for this.
To be fair, BioCrossroads did study it from the very beginning as part of the life sciences sector here, and always identified it as being an important part of the economy. But if you think back in the early 2000s, people were thinking a whole lot about agriculture as a source of fuel, less about feeding people, less about feeding more people. That all changed in the late 2000s, and these businesses that actually make it up have been around for a long time, but people just didn't put the picture together.
Yeah. Jeff, and I'll ask all of you this as we wind down a bit, but the impact in your view, you do business, have done business in many cities around the country, around the world. Having a CICP here, what advantage or what's the impact that it has brought to Indianapolis and Indiana?
Well, I think it's just made us competitive in so many areas. I think you've had visionary leadership. I could not be prouder to be associated with David, but Dave Goodrich and Mark Miles before. And I think it has really put us on the map. I think seeing the Brookings Institute say that what we've done here is unique in all the world, it's very, very gratifying, and I think it really has made a region which, you know, by any measurable standard, it may not be competitive, much more competitive.
Yeah. Ellen, your take on the impact?
Well, I keep using the word inspiration because I am brand new on this group, and so the first time I go, I'm just so inspired with the quality of the leadership, the quality of the people, the quality of the meeting, the quality of the research. It honestly is inspiring, and it makes me want to be a better leader. And make a larger contribution to my community, rely more on economic research, the strong foundation that they've established for our businesses. So it's inspirational.
Yeah, good. David, to you, impact, but then also as you look ahead, you know, always want to be looking ahead to what's next. Talk about that impact that you feel CICP has made, but what's next?
So if you look across the sectors of CICP and the organization, it's basically all of our R&D innovation-intensive industries across the sectors that we have, and we have a lot of them. And what we're trying to do going forward, first of all, we want a place-making strategy for those sectors. That is what 16 Tech is all about, which we think people will understand that part of the economy better when they see how it comes together. In addition to that, though, we are going to be working with both Brookings and the American Enterprise Institute. We'll be announcing this shortly on a major study, not only of our region, but of the entire state and its economy, so that we can really look at issues of economic development, of workforce, of inclusion, which is a very important, that's a business issue as well as a moral issue for all of us. And really seeing where this state, which has many things going for it, but seeing where we're heading and how we can be heading in an even more strategic way going forward. So we're excited to be able to do that kind of work. It's a privilege to do it, and we look forward to finding it out.
CICP, the Central Indiana Corporate Partnership, celebrating 20 years, and it sounds as though that impact is maybe just beginning. David Johnson is the president and CEO of the organization. Also Jeff Smulyan, CEO at Image Communications, and Ellen Swisher-Crabb, the board vice chair at United Animal Health. Thank you one and all for spending
Thanks, Gary. Thanks for
and we'll be right back after.